My dear friend and mentor Douglas Bloch passed away last week, and I've been processing my feelings and taking some time just to think about him and reflect on him. And if you don't know who Douglas Bloch is, I'll put a link to his YouTube channel in the description below. But he's one of the best minds in mental health recovery that you'll ever find. And he's one of the smarter, more enlightened, and beautiful souls you'll ever get a chance to meet, at least from a video perspective, now that he's not with us anymore. I guess I still don't know what exactly I'm thinking and feeling when it comes to his passing. Douglas has been in my life since 2011. I was in a psychiatric ward at St. Vincent Hospital here in Portland, Oregon. And I was suicidal, and I was hopeless, and I was treatment resistant. And at that time, I'd never come across anyone and or read anything or connected on any significant level with anything that led me to believe that I would ever be okay again. And I mean that. I really do mean that. I didn't think anyone had ever experienced the type of depression and anxiety I was experiencing, and depersonalization. I was convinced of that fact, and nothing you or any doctor or any friend could say was going to change that. My hopelessness was too profound, and the pain was too severe for me at the time. And someone gave me Doug's book. I wish I remembered who, but someone gave me Douglas Bloch's book. And the book was called When Going Through Hell, Don't Stop: A Survivor's Tale of Overcoming Anxiety and Clinical Depression. It was before Healing from Depression came out. Douglas finished this book after. And I'm sitting in this psych ward. I don't think I'm going to make it. I've been depressed for 5 or 6 months at that time, maybe longer. And I read his words, and I believed him. It was the first time that I believed anyone that I was going to be okay. I believed him. He had a beautiful way with words. Gifted writer. And he described what depression felt like for him. And he described how he was trying to cope with it. And he eloquently worded his thoughts and feelings and experiences. And for the first time, I didn't think I was going to die. For the first time, I thought there was a chance, just a chance, that I would survive. And I don't have the emotional bandwidth or the language right now to explain to you how soothing and relieving that was. But it very likely saved my life. It very likely kept me on this earth to know he was there and that I wasn't alone. I love Doug. I'll always love Doug. I went to his support group that happened to be local when I got out of the psych ward, and he was brilliant, and he was vibrant, and he was full of life. Anyone who's ever escaped depression like Doug had escaped at that time, they are very different than someone who's never been depressed, in that they know just how dark things can get. They know how hopeless we can feel, but they also know that healing is possible. And they carry a torch and an energy that we as depression survivors, particularly if we're yet to come out of our episode, even more particularly if we've never been depressed before like I hadn't, we need that. And he was a lighthouse for me. And he was a beacon for me. And he kept me going for like a year after I got out of the psych ward, attending his weekly depression support groups. I would come in barely holding on, and he knew, and he protected me, and he protected all of us. And we shared, and we read, and we talked, and we supported one another. And he was just there to listen and to be this unflinching source of strength and stability, this unflinching, non-codependent, could not be broken belief and anchor that all of us were going to be okay. We just needed to keep going, keep showing up, keep doing the things, and we'd be all right. And we believed him because he'd been there before and he knew how to express it. And he knew how to protect us because he learned what protected him and he passed it along. And then he happened to be very, very educated as well. So him passing is confusing for me. Our dynamic after the acute depression changed, and he went from being like exclusively a mentorship role for me to more like a friendship role with mentorship qualities. I kind of fell into a mentorship role with him on here. I'm proud that I helped him start his YouTube career, and I'm proud to have featured him on my channel and done what little I could to give him a chance and inform him on how he could best serve the world and give him something to care about outside of his writing and all of that. He did a good job, and his channel is awesome, and he was great, and he was consistent, and he had so much light in him, and I'm so glad he did that. And I'm so glad I got a chance to know him. And I still remember when he had his first relapse into depression, I think in 2016 or 2017, and that was tough. And he made it through, and then he got better. And I just did a video shoot with him a couple of years ago, and he was doing well overall. But he'd be the first to tell you that we as depression survivors have to be hypervigilant, and we have to remember that if you've been depressed before and you've suffered something on a very profound clinical level, there is a chance that it will come back, and that's why many of us have to revolve our lives around respecting that fact, and I do my best to do that. Never perfect, as many of you know, but I hate that he had such a long-standing depressive episode, agitated at that, to be the last chapter of his life. I hate that. It's not fair. It was brutal. He deserved better. And he'd been through too much, and it broke my heart that he had to go through that. I had the opportunity to spend time with him over the last couple of years. In particular, I tried to up that to whatever degree I could or would in the last few months of his life. And he was struggling. He was. It was sad. It was weird to see my mentor and my dear friend struggling the way he struggled. Depression and anxiety are mean, cruel sons of bitches. And he got tossed around a little bit before his passing. And he expressed that in his own way on his channel, and I got to see it firsthand, and it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking, but he never stopped caring about you guys and us and me. And while it was harder to talk to the true him in the midst of his episode, which was very treatment resistant, I still found him. He loved talking about sports. That was big for him. I could still bring him back when we talked about sports or when we discussed Olympics. I guess that's sports. You guys wouldn't believe how much he loved sports. They were huge for him. You'd never guess it looking at him. But he really loved basketball. He loved talking about NBA basketball. I haven't cried since he's passed. I'm emotionally congested. I was angry and confused about his passing happening so abruptly. I really hoped and thought he would get better in time. But he was suffering. And I am glad that that suffering is over. But death confuses me and overwhelms me. And I don't know what to think or how to feel about it. And that's all right. But I miss him, and I haven't known how to talk about it. And I didn't want to make this a woe is me video. That's not what I wanted this to be. But the world did lose a wonderful healer, a wonderful mind, and a very, very, very good person who cared very much about people who were suffering with mood disorder. And he passed in an unfair way. But I think that His legacy lives on. It'll live on through me. I say that with respect. I say that with as much humility as I can, but I will make sure that his name lives on so long as I have breath. I will promote healing from depression with all my might forevermore, because it's an incredible book, and his memoir is in this book, and I will try to get you guys to buy it every chance I possibly can, and I will never stop doing that, because the more people that read his words, the better. Doug loved me. He supported me. He was always kind to me. He believed in me, and he never stopped believing in me. And I feel very lucky for having known him. I mean that. I feel very lucky for having known him. Yeah. I feel very lucky for having known him. Part of me wishes I had seen him more often at the end. It was pretty overwhelming to see him in an agitated depression like I'd read about and like he described to me. But I did my best. And I know he loved me and he was proud of me. And I'm lucky I got to meet him and got to know him for as many years as I did. He was a really funny guy too. I thought I was going to make this video where like all I did was highlight these great moments I have behind the scenes with Doug, and I'm still going to do that, but I'll make that a different video. It's what I spent the last week mostly doing on this computer, is going through all of our old footage and finding funny off-camera moments that were caught on camera that he didn't know was ever going to see the light of day, that just capture his sense of humor. The guy was so fucking funny. I'll do that for a different video. Just know that we've lost a dear friend. He was a good one. He's one of the best of us. And his legacy should still be one of hope and inspiration for all of us struggling with addiction issues and mental health issues. Because despite the tragic nature of the end of his life, most of his life was spent in recovery from mood disorder, not in relapse. And most of his life was spent doing something he believed deeply about and supporting and helping others. And I can't even believe how much he helped and supported me, and I am just one of the lucky ones that got to know him and try to be his friend after having been his mentee, you would say. I could tell so many stories about him, but I think I'll just end it there. I love you, Doug. I'm going to believe that you're watching this, you're seeing this, you're hearing this, you're feeling this, and I'll make sure the world remembers your name. That's for sure. He's not suffering anymore, guys, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So I suppose we'll end it there. Thanks for letting me try to talk about my thoughts and feelings. I felt very numb after he passed, maybe angry and just very numb, to be fair. But I'm all right, and I will not use his death as an excuse to not take care of myself or to feel sorry for myself or to behave in a way that he wouldn't be very proud of, I think. He gave me a chance to live again, and I'm going to live. I'm going to live as hard and as clean and as helpfully as I can and enjoy every moment. Life is precious. If you're watching this, maybe you've been through depression like me too, or addiction issues like me too. You know how bleak it can get. But I'm still here, you're still here, we are still here. Doug is still with us. Buy his book, please. I'll put the link in the description. And I know that you're not alone, and that everything's going to be all right. Just keep trying and keep asking for help, and don't give up 5 minutes before the miracle. Rest in peace, Douglas Bloch. You were a good one. I love you, Doug, and I love all of you. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for letting me share.
So finding a way of being of service or value to other people.
Well, that's what Albert Schweitzer said.
Who's Albert Schweitzer? Not all of us are like old as dirt.
Albert Schweitzer was considered the greatest humanitarian who ever lived. When I was growing up, when I was your age, he was an expert in Bach.
How come you didn't laugh at my old as dirt joke? Was it too personal? Did it hit too close?
Did I say old as dirt?
I said old as dirt.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I completely didn't even hear it. Hey, the sun's coming out.
The sun's coming out.
Help! The lighting's getting screwed up.
I was going to say, let's push that back a little bit. There we go.
You said you didn't. People like me are as old as dirt.
No, I said we don't know who that guy is because you're old as.
Dirt.
Yeah.
Dirt's very important.
It is very. Look at that's a good response.
Anyway,
Way to take that.
hey,
as straight.
Schweitzer was like